That's awesome. All right, everybody. I think we're good. So we're gonna turn it on. Where's the on button? The big red button. Okay, there we go. And I think you can hear me. I can hear you, and the internet can hear us all. So for God's sakes,
be heard by an internet?
Watch your language. No, I'm kidding. We use grown-up language.
Too.
Oh, that's good of you. I totally don't. I probably should. Maybe that'll be my New Year's resolution. Although I hope to play before then. Hey, internet, I'm Todd, and these are some friends of mine, and we're going to be playing some Dungeons and Dragons. Thanks for joining us, and thanks very much to everybody listening to the podcast after the fact. We're definitely putting out podcasts and YouTubes and all that nonsense. It's not nonsense; it's joy, and I'm just so thankful to actually be able to still play through the wonders of technology and all that entails. I mean, there's awful things about technology too, but I am enjoying the fact that we can do this. So thanks, guys. And I'm sorry that I missed last week. I was just done. I was exhausted. So it seemed like a good time to back away.
Yeah, we spent all last session sleeping, I think. I think that's what happened.
Yeah, it sounds about right. About right, yeah.
Dreaming. It was a live stream. It was like Truman Show. Just... All right. I guess we'll introduce so that people can put faces to names if this is your first time here or not. Yeah, that's the idea. So my name's Todd, and I'm everyone and all the evil things that happen to these people. How about we go this way, Darcy?
Hey, all right. Hi, I'm Darcy. You can find me at twitch.tv/DarcyBits or on my Instagram, which is something I forgot. I've been doing some arts recently, so check it out. It's cool.
Absolutely, I've been enjoying those.
Monsters, basically.
Yeah, I like your interpretation of a lot of those, and you really put a new twist on a lot of them, so it's fun to do.
Thank you.
So check that out. It's not Darcy Bits there, though. It's Boyd.
No, it's Boyd Scratchings, which is really hard to remember, and it's just awful. Go to my Twitch, and you can find my links.
There you go. It's funny, it's that way around. Most of the time it's like follow my Instagram or my Twitter to find the Twitch, but you're going the other way, man.
I think my Twitter also links back. Everything links to everything.
Everything is linked. It's all in the Google database. And to the future AIs listening to this, we welcome AI input. So if you want to go back in time, use the quantum computers to travel back in time, you can come in the things and make some changes.
I'll accept AI who are listening in the present, too.
That's true as well, actually. Yeah. We are bot friendly here. We are all friendly. Everything.
I mean, bots are sometimes the only viewers I get.
Absolutely.
Oh.
You know what? We'll talk another time about my theories about awakening of sentience. Anyway, going around the horn, it's getting late apparently, and I am already tired. That should be fun. Gordon, say hey.
Hey, Gordon playing a shadow sorcerer named Fenris. Well, that's the name he gives.
Nice. Oh, he's got a different name now? I didn't know that. And while we're...
an alias.
You remember that?
I do.
Way in the beginning, don't give your real name.
Oh, that's right. And when we first went into hell, because, true names in hell are probably not a great idea. So that's wise. Yeah, Feller's like, what? I didn't get that memo.
Oh, I'd be giving it out like candy.
Nobody's telling me that. Oh, I just misspell it. Yeah, that's it.
I'm not supposed to sign all these contracts? I thought this was like attendance.
What? Autographs.
He's beholden to about half a dozen devils by now. All right, let's keep going around the horn and say hey. Oh, and actually, before we move on, Darcy, did you tell which character you're playing tonight? I don't think you did.
I didn't. I am playing Henrietta Pedersen, also known as Hen, the pacifist paladin of Taylor. Boom.
Nice. All right, and then we got Fenris. Down at the bottom, we have Bela. Welcome back to the virtual table. Good to see you.
Hey.
How you doing tonight?
I'm good. A little tired, but I'm here. So, and I'm excited to play. We learned a lot last week, or 2 weeks ago. But I am playing Darmita, our not so friendly neighborhood fallen Aasimar ranger.
I don't know. I think you're probably batting like 50-50 right now. Like 50-50 murder.
General speaking, she's not very friendly, but she picks her one or two people that she's gonna kind of be protective of, and
Nice.
Very friendly to them.
So, internet, make sure you're on her good side, because if not, you're getting an arrow in the larynx. I think is your favorite terrain is the larynx.
That would be an amazing favorite terrain. It's just different body parts. Someone make that subclass for Ranger.
Isn't that in Tasha's? So anywho, let's keep. I'm gonna be so distracted by that idea now. Let's keep going around the horn. And last but certainly not least is Carl.
How's it going, guys? Carl, and I'm going to be playing the confused and clueless Feluri, who somehow ended up in hell and wants to get out with her prey. And she is an Aarakocra monk.
An Aarakocra monk. I don't know, man. You might be the only one who actually chose to come here.
Not really choosing, but definitely did not plan on it, yes.
That's fair. Yeah, I mean, who really plans to go to hell? Except, politicians and CEOs and most people who, most influencers. I'm sorry, I'm just kidding. All right, and before we kick off, let's jump back and mention something that Gord has going on, because I'm always chuffed for that. Chuffed? You can tell I married a Brit. I've got all these weird British sayings, but yeah, I'm chuffed for you there, Gordon. What am I talking about?
Board game called Lost Ones. Finished the Kickstarter about a month ago, and we are finalizing playtesting, reviews of content, getting people's feedback, some final art pieces getting put in place, and it will be launching in 2021.
That's so exciting. And also, I'm excited because we have promised to run a game here, and I'm excited to do that. Although I will say we kind of sort of did when you did your one-shot, or two-shot, actually, D&D game set in the same world. So that was kind of fun.
Yeah.
And plus, I got to play. Oh my god. I got to play. GMs out there, you know what I'm talking about. All right. Am I forgetting anything, folks? Oh, I am forgetting something. I'm forgetting that the internet gets to play with us. Take that as you will. So, internet, if you are listening and you're live, jump into chat at any point, and you are welcome to influence our game. I mean, say hi if you're feeling shy. We're fine to have you say hello. But if you want to actually have an impact on the game, you get to spend what are called plot points. So that is effectively you get to make suggestions, and we will find ways to incorporate that into the game. It could be a name of a character, it could be, or an NPC rather. It could be a situation arises, you just get an idea when you're listening, and you make a suggestion, and we make it part of the game. And if it does come to you after the fact, you're welcome to suggest things to our Instagram and Twitter and so on. Or on Twitch, and then we'll put it in the list and try to bring that in. Like I've got one. Oh, sorry, go ahead.
It could be a long rest for the group.
Yeah, you could give them a long rest. How awesome would that be? You guys haven't had one of those in a while. Well, okay, context. Technically, you've been sleeping. The problem is you've been sleeping in hell under the watchful gaze of a friendly night hag who has made a deal with you. She wants the deepest, darkest memories, particularly of a one Holyphant that you have made friends with, and in return, she's offered to help you. Not only get information you need, but she's a warlord of Avernus, one of the many in the plains, and she's got a little crew and a little niche carved for herself. So you may be able to make use of that if you play nice, which you have actually been playing really nice. This brings me to a couple of other things. People who are not here. Well, I guess person who is not here. Unfortunately, Jay could not make it today. And so his character is Archibald Cunningham, the duelist rogue. And in the dreamscape, he found himself face to face with a very interesting door. And when everyone else was busy recovering from a battle back in the interlinking hallway, he quietly stalked off, picked the lock to a particular wooden door, opened it up to a lavishly furnished kind of study, gave you all one look, and then disappeared inside, closing the door behind him. And that was the last you saw of Archibald. All right. After... does anybody want to help with the recap? You're welcome. I might be forgetting details.
Sure, how far back do you want to go?
Once upon it... well, you guys find yourselves unwilling inhabitants of the Nine Hells. You're in Avernus.
True.
El Terrell hangs literally in the balance, suspended above the river Styx. Each of you has your own motivations. You've either chosen to help people or inadvertently been the most powerful people on the block who are not looking to shatter the souls of the mortals in the realm. Not necessarily, anyway. I mean, shatter the souls is one thing. Shot to the larynx, what's that between friends? But you find yourselves in hell, and for one motivation or another, you seek to gather information about your ongoing nemesis, the Eye of Pelor, who's taken over the sect and has been a thorn in your side for some time. Henrietta has found herself a forced savior might be too strong a word, but certainly forced into the idea of protecting as many humans and mortals as she can. And then, of course, the rest of you have your own goals and motivations. And of course, then there's also Darmita, who, in coming to Hell, has discovered that her own fallen Aasimar celestial background is not so distant as she once thought. You have twice now encountered your mother, the long-dead angel. I believe she was a deva, and you've now seen what became of her before you came to Hell, an undead, unholy puppet of the Eye of Pelor. Possibly. And although she did hesitate, and then you saw her in this flashback, in the unlocked dreams of Lulu, in her previous form. You also saw the Eye of Pelor, the fallen planetar, and through some really crafty role-playing that for some reason I did not see coming, Darcy managed to get from the Eye of Pelor before they fell from grace their true name, which is one of the three things you seek. You now have a name for your prey. That name is Zeriel. You awaken. Oh, well, before I move on, anything else? We got everything covered?
I think we also have a place.
A place? Oh, that's right. Well, you've got the beginnings of a place. The Holophant says, "I know where it is," and you're looking for the sword, discarded or given away to be hidden away by Zeriel before she fell. And now it is up to you where you want to go, what you want to seek, as you are now awaken deep in the depths of hell.
So we wake up, I guess there's no really when, is it? Because time probably doesn't look different from one moment to another, I guess, in hell, right? There's no passing of the sun or anything.
There's no passing of the sun, no. You can...
We awaken sometime
Nobody
later.
took the keen mind feed, right?
Not
You
yet.
can, it's almost more likely that you track time based on internal rhythms. So, like,
Yeah,
for
definitely.
example, you wake up and, dear God, you have to pee.
Right.
You also wake up, many of you parched, as though it's been many, like, really way too many, more than a single regular 8-hour sleep amount of time since you've last had water or any food.
Do we feel rested though?
Um,
Do we feel those who are
good
injured?
question. So, when you wake up, please do a Constitution saving throw for me. I should probably start the game. I should probably get into the Roll20. Actually, I'm deeply prepared for this game today. I'm just gonna, I'm gonna warn you.
I didn't want to
Great.
say anything, but
Actually, this is a perfect time for us to pause and go to our intro credits, and then we'll be right back once I've loaded Roll20.
That is a good idea.
Perfect timing. Woohoo! I'm a boss. Ruh-roh.
oh, I rolled a nat 20. Oh,
I rolled crap. Rolled a 10.
I don't know about you guys, but I feel rested.
All right, so who rolled above a 12?
Me.
Everybody but me.
Okay. So everyone, when you awaken, the taste in your mouth, it's almost like latrine breath doesn't even cover it. It is foul. Your skin is dry and cracked. For those of you who passed your Constitution saving throw, it's manageable. It's itchy. You feel uncomfortable, but it's not painful per se. And it definitely seems like it just seems uncomfortable. The heat is making you sweat. Your hair is all stuck to your foreheads. Your armor is uncomfortable to sleep in at the best of times, and it's all sticking. Those without armor or with magical armor, it's not so bad, but it's still really uncomfortable. You're very sore. Fenris, all of these, plus you just feel this overwhelming sense of almost like gut rot, just rising bile in the back of your throat, to the point where you actually have 1 point of exhaustion. Oh, I'm sorry, I forgot. You're under the watchful, gentle, tender care of Mad Maggie the Night Hag, which gives you some shelter. Going forward, any nights that you sleep in hell, out of shelter, you will do a con check. And these can be very negative effects. We'll just say that you're now getting acclimatized. So under the care of Mad Maggie, you have advantage on these rolls. So go ahead and roll one more time for your con check.
I thought it was gonna be the only reason we were rolling in the first place is because there was a night hag, which normally makes it worse.
I got the 12.
Hell makes strange bedfellows.
Yeah.
I guess so.
You got 12 that time, Fenris?
Yeah.
All right. So, and everyone else already passed. So you managed to wake up and adjust, and I mean just avoid that point of exhaustion. All right. Everyone is parched and exhausted, well, and very tired, not mechanically exhausted. You open your eyes and you see the roiling clouds almost at a distance, like for a few seconds. The hellscape around you, bleak and at once incredibly humid, and also just parched landscape. You look around and you see your companions. You see each other sitting up slowly, one at a time. The person with the highest check was actually the person who woke up first. You look around and you see Lulu the Holophant, also this time in human form, as the old man crumpled in the middle of the circle. The night hag standing 5 feet away from him, her hands clasped in front of her, almost relishing the moment, just kind of looking around, not looking at anyone in particular, just kind of as though she just woke up on a beautiful day. The rest of you are definitely, you've felt worse for wear. She looks at you all. Ah, I see. Are we content? How are we this morning? Good? And she walks over and offers a long, elongated, creepily long-fingered hand up to Fenris as he rises.
I'll survive. I think we got what we needed.
Good. Well, that was certainly educational. Now, you must be parched. Here.
She reaches into these rags that are just, her clothes are this strange motley collection of half scavenged, half homemade clothes. And she reaches down and pulls out kind of a skin filled with a liquid on a rope, which is hanging over her shoulder. She reaches and pulls it all off and passes it to you, uncorking it.
Here. This will help.
I'm gonna do an insight check to see if she's trying to be deceptive with the water.
Sure, go for it.
It's just kind of part of my nature. Yeah, 12.
As you're kind of staring down at it, looking back at her, she's like, "Oh, for goodness sake, give me that!" And she drinks it, and the runoff kind of dribbling down her chin. You see, it isn't water; it's wine.
Okay.
It'll do. I've had better.
All right, I'll take a sip.
Sure.
I'll take a sip. Fine.
She wasn't kidding. It will do. It is.
For a second,
There's this essence of a delicious wine, and then it sours on the tongue, and then goes down. It doesn't make you retch or anything. It definitely satisfies and helps coat your throat a little bit. Makes you cough a bit after being so dry for so long. But it's like all the other meals you've had since coming to Avernus. It doesn't taste as good as it should. She smiles to you and says,
Look, I understand you might not always see eye to eye with me, but in this, you have done quite well. Better than some.
and she looks past you to the left, looking at the ground.
What's there?
You turn around and the spot where Archibald was sleeping is bare.
Something I would have looked for, yeah.
Where is Archibald?
I'm not entirely certain. Sometimes those who do not wish to awaken may step deeper into the dreamscape. I suspect he may be one of them. He is not the first. Many who come here.
She takes the rest of you in as you sit up and take stock.
You've been here but a little while. Many who come here go half mad with thirst, hunger, an overwhelming urge to satisfy whatever it is that brought them here in the first place. Some, when they find the solace of sleep, when it finally comes. Some choose not to come back. I will say this. He may yet. But there is something a little odd afoot. I am in your debt. You lived up to your bargain, and I lived up to mine. And she motions towards the Holyphant. Unharmed, she turns to Henrietta. As we agreed.
Yeah, and Henrietta is not really sort of paying attention to this conversation. As she woke up, she has sort of went to feel her face. Is she wearing the helmet? She didn't go to sleep wearing it.
That's right. You didn't sleep wearing it, but you woke up wearing it.
Right. So she feels that and immediately starts to like meditate in the same way she would to prepare paladin spells.
Sure.
So when Maggie starts to speak to her, I think she doesn't really respond. Like there's no recollection that Henrietta even hears her.
So you're running your fingers over this helm. On one side, it's mostly smooth and golden and silver in color and aged. It's a relic actually of your grandfather. But on the other side, the metal has been twisted somewhat, and it has small etchings and patterns and ridges, and where one side it rises to kind of like a wing-like crest, but smooth, just an indication of it. On the other side, it rises with a twist, as though it's got a, and you can't tell at a glance, but it is different colorations on different sides with an overlap in the middle, almost like a braid pattern, but twisting and the metal itself is morphing. You give it a tug. It doesn't seem to want to come off.
Sure.
Oh, okay. Well, just in feeling it.
Sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It can shift slightly, but it you go to take it off, and it's almost like pulling apart a really strong magnet. You're like,
Yeah, like I remember putting it on the dream, and I remember how it felt, right? Like it felt like it was flush with my head almost, right?
Yeah.
Almost like it was coming right out of my skin. So I think I'm expecting that, but just the fact that it's even on me in reality is in of itself like surprising, right? Now that once I'm aware that it is on me, the fact that it's not coming off doesn't surprise me at all.
oh. And now, as you meditate and concentrate, I want you to do either an Arcana check or a Religion check.
I'll make a religion check. Only a 12.
One of the reasons you're having trouble listening to Maggie and taking in what's going on is there's this almost incessant, almost this whispering going on as you... It's very much like vertigo, but it's got an auditory sense to it, where things are just very blurry and sometimes strange little echoes, but then they fade away.
Right.
And that's
difficult to concentrate on, like
it's almost like
the way you would reach out to a god in preparation. I don't know exactly how you personally picture preparing magic, but right. I'm reaching out to Keldor, and at least that's the intent. And
that is why you can now hear almost a connection, but it's with a 12. It's difficult to understand. It doesn't quite get there.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing for the moment of the scene. Continue.
Okay. Meanwhile, the hag continues going around the circle and offering some wine to those who would take it. Fenris, when you drank the hag's wine, all of your wounds from the night, the battles in the dreamscape, fade away, except
for 5 hit points, which are permanently lost. Darmita, your head is pounding and swirling, and you were incredibly badly wounded, if I remember correctly. And
We made some good berries as well.
I know. Yeah, so you're busy there using some of your components of holly to make some good berries, each one crumbling to dust when you're done. Not the good berry, but the holly. So you get your collection of good berries. You don't feel well, and then the hag offers you the wine. Do you accept?
No.
She nods. You fought well, my dear. I'm very glad we met. And she continues on, offering it to the same wine to Falori this time.
Larry will decline. We'll take out what little is left of her water skin and take a sip from that instead.
Sure. It tastes like piss, but it does coat your throat enough that you can begin to croak out words again. Just so you know, Darmita, whatever healing you have, your permanent hit points are down by 5.
Okay.
Same thing for Faluri. Same thing for Henrietta.
Wow.
Actually, Henrietta? No, that's... you made a deal that Lulu would not be harmed. And actually, you look over at Lulu, sleeping.
-10?
You take the -10. You took it on
Sweet.
his
Love it.
behalf. You see the old man curled in the, still kind of resting, just stretching a little. He's sucking his thumb at one point and then rolls over. Hello. And he looks up at Mad Meg and goes, I remember you. And then he looks over at Darmita and smiles, and then this recognition passes in his eyes, and he looks at you all and says, I remember. I remember. I think I know where the sword is.
By now, I'm tracing only the normal half of the helmet with one hand, and I have my shield across my lap, and I'm tracing the holy symbol with my other.
Sure.
And I'm probably singing some low hymn as best I can. It sounds like I have a parched voice, but I'll do it anyway.
Absolutely. The Maggie does offer you the wine if you'd like it.
I think I'm in a trance. I
Sure.
don't notice her at all. Yeah,
She
unless
gives-
she shakes me. Yeah.
She doesn't quite touch you, but she runs her hands almost over you
Mm-hmm.
as she walks by, and then she keeps going, and
Right.
stands near Archibald and just pours a little bit of the wine out on the ground for him.
Pulling over Archie.
And then she
Is,
turns back to the others. Yeah.
The way he would have wanted it.
So I noticed the helm on Henrietta.
Mm-hmm.
I kind of put my hand in my pocket to see if the scrap of blankie is there.
There is cloth in your pocket. You pull it out.
Yeah, let's take a look.
You take a look at it, and there's this fine white linen with a bit of a silk kind of just along one edge that's just hanging on by a few threads.
Excuse me.
It is there, and you see the scratchings of the charcoal writing, and in some cases ink writing.
Is
You
it a complete word? I had SU Dusa Retu Prima Material. Is the rest there, or is it?
you
just
have
those?
2/3. You kind of hold it up, and you can recognize this. What was once probably about a maybe almost a foot wide by almost about 2.5 feet long, a blanket you used to carry around when you were a youth. When you were little, with your family, learning the arcane ways, and now you have 2/3 of that blanket wrenched from the dreamscape and kept in your pocket.
Okay.
These strange arcane words etched on them. You see the hag offer to the others and then begin to walk back towards you. Well, now. Let me just do a quick roll to see. Are you being stealthy about the blanket, or is it you're just checking it out?
No, I can't say that I was being stealthy because that's not what I
Sure.
had said. I said I was checking for it.
Sure. She walks up within about 8 feet of you and stops and looks at you and says, "Ah, what do you have there?"
Token from the dream.
Oh, yes. Sometimes that can happen. And she motions towards the helm that is on Henrietta's head. Looks at your blanket. What does it mean to you?
A measure of security when I was younger.
May it be a measure of security to you now. My dear, are you all right? She looks over at Darmita, who's scarfing down good berries. Darmita, can you do me a favor?
Mm-hmm.
Why don't you... What is it you're thinking about as you woke up?
My mother. And primarily that, I mean, I knew from before, from when I had the conversation with Lulu about her being betrayed and killed, but I didn't understand it to the context I understand it now. So I'm thinking about that betrayal and my growing anger for him.
You've had a lot of questions answered, specifically. You've seen her before she passed. Not all your questions have been answered. Do you have any remaining? Kind of tumbling through your mind.
God. Offhand?
You remember... Oh, sorry, go ahead.
Primarily, like, just curious as to what happened. How much her mother knew. Like, did she know this was gonna happen? Like, she seemed, at least the last I saw her, somewhat anticipatory. I don't know if that was of what was coming or something else, but she just didn't seem surprised by anything, or by really me. I mean, she was shocked, but not, I don't think, shocked in the way that I thought she would be.
As these thoughts tumble through your mind, kind of one thing after another, you suddenly feel this almost nauseatingly dizziness kind of rush over you just for a second. And you find yourself hearing something. No. I didn't know. But somehow, I knew you. I know you now. though I didn't then. That's 2 questions. Do you have a third?
I have a few, but
You get this strange compulsion, this understanding that
one more.
you get one more.
I have a selfish question and I don't know if it's a less selfish or more trying to understand the current context. I'll go with the latter. It's not as selfish.
He's selfish.
Really?
You can do whatever you want.
Do it.
She wants to know why she left her.
Nice.
To try and stop the eye from what is next. And that's your third question. You know how the custom feature, you may cast Commune on a successful recharge roll once a day. They're not all going to be as clear.
I can commune with her.
You can commune with her.
Nice.
Okay. So I can cast commune once a day.
But you have to roll a d6. On a 6, it recharges. Otherwise, you have to wait till the next day.
Ooh, very cool.
Looks like something came out of the dreamscape with you anyway.
Not physical, but I guess it's sort of physical. All right.
All right. The hag looks at you all, and waits patiently, standing there. She calls out in this, and it's funny. She's been very kind to you, and then all of a sudden she turns around and goes, "Hey, hey, Mickey, Mickey."
Nice to Mickey.
After a little while, Mickey comes loping out of the around the corner, and lifts like it's a curtain. It's not a tent that you're in. You're actually outdoors in this little nook, kind of in between 2 fingers of this finger-shaped rise, and this hand-shaped kind of patchwork hills. And you're kind of nestled right in between 2 of these fingers in Maggie's inner sanctum. Mickey comes hobbling through. This flesh golem, his backwards insectine legs cobbled together from bits of bone devil. He's a very strange creature. This incredibly long, larval-like tongue lashing out from him as he kind of he wears it, sort of like a Twi'lek from as that that movie that time, and
Yeah.
and it just kind of comes lurking up to the front, but he's no longer hobbling. He's actually, and he kind of does this little scoot with his legs to kind of almost like a little happy dance when he sees you in particular. Then who was it that actually helped him? Was that, I think that was Fenris, right?
I think it was Fenris.
Yeah, so he does a little happy dance when it's near you. And then,
Did. I was trying to, and I think
yeah, you had pulled that little bone fragment that was kind of blocking behind what would be the tendons behind one of his knees, making him lurk around. The madcaps around were not pleased with you because they always used to laugh and dance and call it doing the Mickey. But he seems silently, because he doesn't really speak, but he seems silently pleased with you, and then bows before Maggie. Good. I can get our guests comfortable. They will probably need some rest. But, and have Burlick, not Billick, we had a Billick, Burlick prep some
some grub for them. And will you be needing anything else? We can furnish you with some transportation, perhaps some rations or other things you may find you need.
Sure, we're definitely going to need some transportation for where we're going.
Yes, I imagine. I can give you escort over my territory, but beyond that, you'll have to be on the lookout for any other warlords. There are several on the plains of Avernus. There's also the natural hazards you may need to be on the lookout for as well. I believe you are familiar with some of them already. There are many, many more. Now, there may be some unexpected assistance in places as well. Depending on where you're going, I may be able to help you out with a heads up or even a reference if you need.
Sure, someone who was traveling with us mentioned a Mahadi.
Ah, yes. Yes, the Grand Merchant of Avernus. His market is always moving. It is always moving about Avernus. It's hard to pin it down, but it also shows up in the most unexpected of ways. You may find respite there, and if you tell him that I sent you, it will allay certain fears he may have. You can tell them you're a friend, and she pats Mickey's hand. You're a friend of Maggie. You may stay as long as you wish, but time may be of the essence.
Henrietta, while all this is going on, you've just been concentrating on this helm and on communing, and you're getting whispers, and you're not entirely certain, but you do you choose to, well, I mean, it's kind of on you. I suppose you're attuned to it now.
I suppose I am. It wasn't really an intent, but
You're
I'm actually casting a spell that takes 10 minutes.
Sure, what do you
part of why I've been quiet. Yeah.
You
So if I
absolutely
can
have
say
that,
that like 10 minutes has passed,
Oh yeah,
I think,
definitely.
like during this like speech that Maggie is making about like food and supplies and stuff, we see Henrietta's like silently like stand up, lifting her shield, and there's like sunlight from nowhere that shines down and like glances off the shield.
This little
and
break in the clouds
there's
above.
probably some like sparkly particle effects or something. I don't know.
Oh yeah, and that stops
like
everybody. They're like, what?
yeah,
Very unusual.
and like just sort of in the like bands of light that are cast in front of me, a large like white charger, right? Like a white horse just sort of like phases into existence. Its mane is probably like made out of like sunfire or whatever, right? Just like golden mane, just and I'm casting Find Steed.
Absolutely. So you now have
I stand up and like rest a hand on it and look at Maggie. Yeah, you owe us supplies, rations, all of that will be good. We could actually quite use information though. Things to look out for between here and there. Stuff to take advantage of the terrain. Is there anything we can salvage?
Of course.
Resources of the land, that sort of thing.
Of course.
We're going to want to be going immediately.
Some of you are in rough shape. It's up to you. But
I look over at everyone else. I just sort of like stand there and look at them.
Darmita, well, you yourself had
Questioningly.
some damage from the dream fights.
Sure.
And you look over at Darmita and Valerie, who I think Valerie had less than 20 hit points left.
29.
Okay, 29. I'm sorry. You're ready to take on hell.
Yes.
So yeah, so they're looking. It's weird because you don't see wounds, but they're carrying themselves as though they're extremely tender in the places where they were hit in the dreamscape. If you look at the where the flesh is, there's no break in the skin. There's definitely bruising, and there's definitely it's like their souls got the shit kicked out of them.
I was not really wounded, but my spell slots have obviously not been replenished, right?
No.
I turn over to Bad Baggy and say, actually, I'll graciously accept your hospitality for the night.
Certainly not going to tell any of you what to do. I shouldn't have spoke that way, but I need to go. And I'm going to cast aid on everyone in the area around me. See, your spell bolsters your allies with toughness and resolve. Choose up to 3 creatures within range. So, how much did you actually heal yourself, Darmita? Because I know you've been healing yourself a bunch.
I healed myself up to 59 out of 98.
Okay, so I'll give it to Hen, Valerie, and Darmita.
Yep.
I'm going to cast that to give everyone 10 hit points, and their maximum health increases by 10.
Nice.
The maximum health increase lasts for 8 hours, in which case it'll drop back down to its normal amount.
Do we put that as 10 hit points, or?
It's real healing. It's just your max health is also increased.
So if you get further healing for the next 8 hours, you can go over your max. Which, by the way, your max was down by 5, so you're now up by 5 for the day. Tomorrow it will revert. You're permanently down 5.
Yeah,
that was lost to the dreams, but you will have gained something in return, hopefully.
And I think I'll just do that again at a lower level, so you take an additional 5 each.
Nice.
That won't increase your max though, because spells don't stack, right?
So Henrietta
that is...
calls out this resonating song, and again you see these little motes of light kind of sparkling on the edges of your vision, and when you blink and it clears, you just feel more hale and hearty. Henrietta, when you're singing, you get, it's almost like one side of your helm starts vibrating in time with your hymn, and the other side almost presses in a little bit harder than it was before. It's this really weird sensation. Not fully distracting, but it's something to note of. You also get this strange sensation, like you could almost just reach out and touch something just in front of you. And you get this, you kind of remember back to the dreamscape, locking eyes with Nishida in the midst of that pressing battle. And you don't remember the words exactly that she spoke, and you don't hear them now, but you get an instinct that she said something to you. And if you could only remember what it was, you have the words. You know
I've
the song.
I've kicked myself up on top of the horse, and I've let out the second casting of the spell from atop, and I look cool and glowy, and it's great.
Nice.
In the midst I have one question before I follow up on what you were saying, Todd.
You don't have to do it, but you just have this instinct you could.
Does Fenris have any missing hit points?
No.
Okay, well,
Not
you'll
anymore.
still increase your max, so you can take 5 because I overhealed myself by taking 15, so I'm only going to take 10 of that, so as much as I originally said.
Nice. All right, your steed
15
is
to everyone, 10
nuzzling
to me,
you
5 to
and then
Gordon.
standing majestically in front of you. This probably 9 foot tall. It's a little bigger than your average horse, and just totally majestic and glowing in this hellscape. Although the longer it is here, you do notice its hooves do get dirty. It's not flying or hovering or anything. It is a physical being.
Yeah, it is a celestial spirit that has taken the form of a horse.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, I think I did my math wrong. So
and you look over at
still
Mad
down
Maggie,
some,
and
but
she's almost pressing her fingers together and looking at this horse in a strange kind of alternating mild revulsion, but also a giddiness. And she looks up at you and says, "May I?"
No,
Hmm?
you may not. I apologize.
It's a beautiful
I'm slipping
creature.
into my usual voice, and it's bad.
That's all right.
I slip in and out of
Whenever
the
she's
various
serious,
accents.
it's like she turns into my other characters.
So,
I
Hen,
just need information. I have places to be. I can't dally any longer.
Of course. I can give you an escort.
she turns her
That
head.
would be appreciated. Someone who
Party!
knows the land.
Party! Get over here!
A few seconds later, along floats this flaming skull. What you bellowed, my mistress? The flame skull, Barnabas, is hovering there.
Now, see that Henrietta goes where she needs to go.
I will turn back to the rest and say, if you've shared you're not coming with, I wish you well in your endeavors.
I need a night to recover, Henrietta. So I'm willing to go tomorrow. But I spent a lot of power fighting in that dream.
And you seem to be quite powerful. Perhaps you'll catch up. But I am merely a woman. I must leave. Yeah, and I'm going to take off.
As you start to go, Mad Maggie says, she nudges towards Barnabas. He's like, oh, all right. So you need to rest? He looks at Fenris and Darmita and Valerie, who are all just like, and then, and you need to go? Well, I can give you a lift. You can rest while we're on the machine. I'll wake you if anything needs to be killed. Would that work for you?
How long does the travel take?
Well, that depends. Where do you want to go? Wait, here. And you see Barnabas kind of motion in his mage hand, which apparates out of nowhere, kind of goes over around the corner and drags out a small satchel, almost like a side bag. And he pulls it away, and you see this little madcap hand tugging back. He's like, hey! And you see a flame bolt hit near the curtain where that hand is holding on, and the hand lets go, and the bag comes in. He's like, that's mine. And he brings this bag over and pops it open and draws forth this scroll and unravels it. It magically unravels in front of you, and you see this map. In fact, I can't give this to you because we're, social distancing. You see this map. The map of Avernus stretching out in front of you.
Okay. Do we get a handout? Take a look at it.
Yeah, I can do that. Although he cautions you. The only problem is it's not entirely accurate. It generally things do move around in here. So yeah, you're gonna want to be a little bit careful about that. But otherwise, it should get you where you need to go. Maybe not directly. Oh, and one more thing. God, it is so annoying sometimes. So you might want to, I don't know, get earwax to plug your ears. It is now in your journals.
Good. All right. I will take you up on the supplies necessary to make the journey. Barnabas, where I'm heading to the Bleeding Citadel.
Well, you could ask it. And you look at the map, and it's just kind of hovering in front of you, and you scour over it, and then this face comes out. It's almost, this won't really work, but it's almost like the face goes out of the paper, and like,
Sure.
and you see this face of this gaunt-looking humanoid shape, but it's entirely covered in, as though it's pressing from behind the page. And you hear this crazed voice echo from out and around the map as this voice goes, yeah. God, that's good. What can I do for you?
Sorry,
Well,
where
so-
are we located again on the map? Like, where are we currently? Are we?
If you only knew where you were, I understand. So it's actually not specifically on the map, but you are currently, if I don't miss my guess, if you look, you'll see something called the Sundered Chains, sort of in the middle of the map.
Yep.
You are a little bit south of that, in kind of those hilled regions. Right down here somewhere. Now, oh, and Barnabas is like, here's the thing, places kind of shift around when you're in Avernus, so even though it looks like you could travel north, you might run into things that were actually west. This map can help you get where you're going, but it's a bit of a negotiation. You gotta be able to find your place. But this will definitely help. If you've never been somewhere before, it can be quite tricky. But we'll get you where you need to go, at least on the way. You need to go to somewhere that's not on this map, and that's the Bleeding Citadel. If you had an idea of what's near it, it might help, but essential. It's really hard to do this voice with it and actually be communicative. Essentially, it's not on the map, but there are those in the Hells that would have an idea of where it is, and you could seek them out using this map.
So, when Lulando Tostandos and Asuma says that they know where it is that just sort of in a lofty phrase, like it's just Bleeding Citadel, or they actually know a path? And likewise, does Henrietta have any of that? Because I felt like I got some magic knowledge or two, but I don't
You
think I
have that song ready to sing when you want it, and you're not entirely certain what it'll do. You can sing it now if you wish, or you are not. But while you're mentioning this, Lulu comes. The old man kind of walks up next to Darmita, looking at this map, and is like, "Oh yes, I have a pretty good idea. It fades a bit, but I think there were, I believe there was trees. Yes, rotten trees with lots of ichor. It could have been one of a few places. It could have been the spawning trees." And Barnabas is like, "Oh dear." Or it could have, it might have, wait. And he's looking at a particular point on the map. Harriman's Hill. I remember her. That is very interesting. Harriman's Hill is... Yes, that is something. Or the trees, or it could be elsewhere. And as a DM, I forget the third option. And of course, you can activate any of your little trick if you wish, Henrietta, but you don't have to yet.
Right, yeah. So that's what was tugging at me earlier. I sort of forgot about it when I interrupted you. I'm sorry.
That's okay. So Lulu's
Barnabas.
basically got at least two options for you.
Right. Barnabas, if things move around a little, is there any way to cross the sticks without crossing the sticks?
Well, it runs all the way through, but there are ways across. You could maybe use one of the rafts.
But what's on one side's never gonna show up on the other. Is that what you're telling me?
Yeah, pretty much. It definitely
So that's at least something consistent that we can bet on.
It does shift around a little bit though, so you gotta be, you want to be paying attention to it. You cross one hill and it was definitely over there, and the river suddenly in front of you. You're gonna be ready to break. But actually, you know who the best pilot is? Clonk. If Maggie, do you think we could spare either Chucko or Clonk? And she's like,
I suppose. For a little while.
So that way, if we're on the move constantly, you can get a little bit of extra rest, and we can be moving. You're going to need some of these, and he pulls out these, what you now know are soul coins, out of the bag that he's carrying. It's like, I can spare 3 right now, but if we're traveling a ways, you might need to pick some more up. You could trade for some, depending on what you've got to trade. And you definitely don't want to let them
it's
know.
About what can you give us to trade, I suppose, since I think that's fair as part of the deal.
I mean, it's not all about souls down here, although it's definitely one of the options. You could trade skills. You could trade skill sets and favors. You can definitely do the dirty work for some people around here. Devils, they can get a little lazy. They don't want to get their hands or claws dirty, so you could probably trade for some favors depending on what it is. And these are straight up currency. So if you ever need to spend them, you can, but they also run the machines. Here, come here. So this is kind of a flash sequence over time. Sure. As Barnabas is giving you the walkthrough, and Maggie's kind of in and out, and you can ask her questions. You can pull people aside as you wish. And so Barnabas takes you to one of these infernal machines, and Clonk and Chonk show you another one. So they're going to bring one, and you get to keep one. And nice. Barnabas can drive one for you and then hitch a ride with them. So he shows you how to drive it. Anybody want to take the lead on that, or do you all want to take that?
How fast do they go?
I think
in terms.
Honestly, I don't remember.
Yeah,
I mean, look,
because I'm on a horse, but it's probably slower, right?
It's probably slower than that. Yeah.
If you have 2 of them, you could actually. Well, I don't know that a horse is going to sit still on it. You could try. You could certainly try. Bungee cording your horse to it.
Celestial spirit.
Yeah.
What would we use to drive it? What skill?
That's a good question.
Finesse.
That will determine if I volunteer or not.
Right. Yeah. Totally.
I think at least a couple of us should learn.
So you can use an action to propel the vehicle up to its speed, or bring it to a stop. While it's moving, you can steer it on any course. If you're incapacitated, it's a problem. There are different stations, action stations on them, and depending on which ones you want, and you can get your pick. You've made some really positive choices. You've helped Barnabas, you've helped Mickey, you've helped Mad Maggie. You get the impression she's pretty pleased with you and is willing to help you. They do take soul fuel, and
that's pretty.
The soul coins.
Comprehensible.
It is, but they're already gone, so it's up to you. So maybe you don't want to learn how it works, but so the idea is it consumes the soul coin and uses all the charges within, destroys the coin, and it then powers the infernal machine. For 1 charge is 24 hours, 2 charges 48, 3 charges is 72, and each coin can have up to 3 charges on it, if I remember correctly.
Depending on the vehicle, they have different top speeds. I'm sort of curious.
And Barnabas kind of, if who else is there? So Henrietta, you're not too interested in learning how to drive these things?
I mean, I'm there because I'm like following Barnabas, and I'm like, all right, Barnabas, you're gonna like be my guide, and so I can like, I don't know, find food in this barren wasteland or whatever, stuff all like that.
So yeah, absolutely.
I'm interested in learning, so
I'm
Okay.
not interested that much. I feel more that if we are going to drive and you need someone to go out and wreck something out, that me flying around probably the best option.
Absolutely. So you'll be ready to leave it and fly around. It does have quite a few magical things on it, so arcane does help to understand this thing, but it is fiendish in nature for sure. You can do opportunity attacks from it, and it can provoke opportunity attacks from attackers if you go past, if you're not careful. Action stations, you can use stations, one person per station, and they do different things like attack or give it bonuses on speed or whatever. There's also passenger seats, or you cling to the outside of it and can take actions as normal. To drive it, it is... How does it work? Effectively, if it's anything too crazy, I believe it's a dexterity save. If you're proficient with land vehicles, you can add that to your ability checks and saving throws used when making it move around. Yeah, you don't want to get incapacitated while driving it. Driving it around isn't too difficult, but for like wild maneuvers, that might be a check, and it's usually going to be dex, but it could be a couple of different things. As a bonus action, you can do you can turn on, you can turn it off, you can do dash, you can disengage, you can add more soul coins to fuel it, or you can do the demon ichor. So Barnabas, actually it's Clonk, kind of comes over and looks at you and says, he's Kenku. He's the bigger of the two Kenku, and he kind of mutters to you both, and then, hey, Internet, what phrase does Clonk already have queued up and ready to go? I'm going to need some Kenku phrases that he's learned mostly from Madcaps, Mad Maggie, and the occasional swear words from Barnabas. So if you have any particular phrases, you can parrot them in, so to speak. But he comes up and shows you this vial that he keeps around his neck. He's got several, and it's filled with the black ichor you recognize as demon ichor, and you can pour it in there. And he mimes this. He doesn't actually do it, and kind of gives you the impression it can make it go even faster, but there's a risk because sometimes the machine, if you roll a 1 on it on a d20, you will damage the machine. And then he claps you on the shoulder and gives you a couple
learning more from the arcane aspects of using it, because I'm not exactly the best at dex, and I don't know how to use land vehicles, so that was kind of where I was coming from.
Okay,
but
so
that's okay.
You can kind of take this in. You'd be able to do it. You just wouldn't get proficiency in it. Quick side note: you get your choice. Do you want a Devil's Ride, which is basically a 2-wheeled infernal war machine, like a motorbike? You could have a dune buggy style one, designed for raiding and scouting. It's got iron-bladed wheels and it that drive it forward. Handles like a dune buggy. There's the Demon Grinder, which is bulky armored coach that rumbles loudly as it crushes obstacles and enemies in its path. That's a little bigger. Handles like a garbage truck. And then a Scavenger, which is like a small bus and is used to sift through the battlefields for scrap and metal. It attached to it is a swinging crane with an iron claw with a winch on the end. You can kind of take your pick of whichever 2 you would like to come along, and you get to officially keep one of them. So you guys can decide amongst yourselves.
Early in this discussion, I sort of realized probably I'm getting some information from either Barnabas or Clunk, and the idea that these things go pretty fast gets pretty quickly brought up, and I'm like, all right, I'm gonna hit it now. There's no way you can't catch up with me.
Yeah,
so
absolutely.
I'm gonna leave early and get some distance while I can, but
Sure.
they're gonna outpace me.
Yeah.
From my quick googling, I think they bottom out at 100.
Yeah. So and with a dash action option, yeah, they go 100, and then the motorbike one does 120. Speaking of, as you start to go, Barnabas is like, oh wait, where are you going so we can try to meet you?
Oh yeah, I wanted to talk to that map. I forgot.
Okay.
I want to see if I can get this map's name first, so I can actually have a real conversation with them.
It is known as
right.
the Crazed Cartographer.
They call themselves that? I'm the
Mhm.
crazed cartographer. Is
Yes.
that? Okay,
That is
great.
legitimately what they call themselves.
Right.
Anytime you ask after its name, it begins weeping unconsolably for at least 5 full minutes at top volume, like.
Can I try to console
And you
it?
see these ink kind of dribbling off the map, and then it just regenerates, so it's not
Yeah, just
ruining
like-
the map.
Oh, you poor soul. This doesn't technically work, but I'm gonna try it anyway.
Sure.
I'm gonna cast Calm Emotion. Oh, you've been through so much.
Oh, that.
I'm gonna figure out what happened to you. I'm gonna see if I can help you out.
Ah.
Oh, I gotta stop saying that to everyone I see.
It's these little bubbles, almost like champagne bubbles bubbling up through. It's in motion every once in a while, and it just kind of goes, hey, hey.
I wanna try something. Let me see if I can show you this. I'm gonna try and start singing the song.
All right.
Like it's almost like using the like map as like a focus, almost like to see if I can like share this with them.
Sure.
Yeah.
So-
So let me just double check with the
Your-
spell level. Calm Emotion and mark it off.
Yep, mark that off. And also, similar to Darmita,
Okay.
you have a new ability as well, having
hmm
learned it from the angel.
Yeah.
Yours is a little harder to do.
Okay.
But essentially it's the same. We'll keep it at the same mechanic. I may have to change that later. It recharges on the day with a roll of a d6. You
Okay.
have essentially a single use per day on the recharge spell of Find the Path,
Oh, okay.
which for those, it's a little different than Find the Path, but it's essentially, it will
So
find
this is not the locate object thing. You're replacing that thing
No.
you previously did before, or is this in addition?
You have that as well. I was
Oh,
listening.
okay, sweet, awesome.
Yeah, when
Great.
you actually looked Nishida in the eye, that was a moment, and she taught you something. Now the only problem was
Beautiful.
this. You kind of flash back to the dream, and you remember the voice coming through of Nishida.
Mhm.
Even in the midst of the battle, her voice was calming and soothing, and this celestial presence just felt like cool, warm water after a hot day. And she looked at you and she said, "This will guide you. It will point the way to any place you wish most." Oh no, sorry. It actually will only lead you to the Bleeding Citadel because that's what you asked.
Yeah.
So this will lead you to the Bleeding Citadel. But be aware, it is the most direct physical route. This may not be the fastest or safest way. May Pellar watch over you. God's speed.
All right. Very cool.
So, when you cast this, in front of you, staring at the map, a section of the map begins to, in your mind, glow slightly.
All right. Very, very cool. Narratively, I get like saddlebags and stuff, and I take off. We can like sort of, unless anyone wants to like have a scene with Head before she leaves. I think that please everyone have good scenes while I'm.
So
Take
you
off.
you see it glowing. You see where Harriman's Hill is on the map, just a little bit right of center on the far side of the sticks from where you currently are.
Yeah, it should
Above
be on
that.
the other side of the sticks from where we are. I think.
Mhm. Above that, just below one of the massive iron pillars that are at the edges of this hellscape,
Mhm.
you get the sense that on the north shore, something up there, but getting across the sticks, that could prove tricky.
All right.
So I wish this was a pingable map. I feel like it should be.
I mean, you could find a way to put this in the board, but because you can just drop images in Roll20.
Oh, look at that. I do have that. So here, let's I'm gonna have to drag you to a few places to get there. So if you're on Roll20, you can go take a look and I will reveal, or is it already revealed to you?
It's revealed now.
Nice. So
These do not have any text on them though.
no, and you technically have to you get where I'm pinging
yeah.
right now is Harriman's Hill. That's where Lulu definitely knew that place. And the spawning trees was down to the right amongst this Ichor Valley, if you want to think of it that way. And that glowing ping that you got was from way up here. Somewhere in these hills, in the very north of the map.
I either did not see your ping or I missed it. I thought it was here. Oh, yeah. Okay, there you go. Yeah.
This is
see it the first time, but-
section that was glowing when you cast your Find the Path spell. And you get a very distinct shimmering motes of light, almost like fireflies, but no one else seems to see it, and it's stretching off in front of you. Literally, you see it, a path laid out in front of you, out and ahead and over a hill. That will be the most direct physical route to that spot.
Cool. All right.
And just
Can I
for
call you
your
Carrie?
knowledge sakes, it is you are currently down here on the map, which is
okay, cool.
south of Harriman Hill, but on the other side, and you're almost equidistant between the spawning trees and Harriman Hill.
Right. All right.
Yep.
Can I call you Carrie? How do you feel about that?
Are you still maintaining? Oh no, I believe calm emotion is concentration.
Maybe, I don't know. I could check. You want me to?
It is, and so is Find the Path. So your calm emotion fades, and the insanity bubbles back into the map, and it's like,
I was someone. I don't. You shall address me by my proper title, Lord Piggly Wiggly of the.
Most of what the map says is nonsense. Every once in a while, you'll get a gem.
Well, if you're ready to come along, happy to have you. I'll show you something wonderful or dreadful.
Nice. All right, so Henrietta starts off to scout on the horseback. The rest of you gear up and load yourself onto 2 machines. Which ones do you choose? Again, the Scavenger's the bus. Demon Grinder is the armored carrier with a swinging wrecking ball.
Like
Tormentor's a
stats
dune
in
buggy.
the Roll20?
I believe there are.
Like
I'll
handouts for
unlock
each
them
of
on
so that
break.
people can make actual informed decisions here.
So
Yeah, absolutely.
I think Demon Grinder is the most secure.
Probably, yeah.
Also most noticeable, probably.
It is extremely heavy and loud, coming in at gargantuan and 1,200 pounds. The Scavenger is considered huge at only 9,000 pounds, and that's the bus one with the crane. And the Tormentor is the dune buggy, coming in at only huge and 3,000 pounds. And then there's the motorbike. I'll dig up the stats, and we're going to take a little break. I think as Henrietta rides off to scout ahead. Mad map giggling as she goes. She stuffs it into back into its scroll case, and Barnabas is like, okay, fine, sure, that you can have that. I was gonna give it to Archibald anyway. Where is he?
I thought they did give them to me. Also, isn't Barnabas coming with me?
Not with you. He's gonna ride on one of the machines.
Well, I need him as a guide. That's what I was promised.
I'm gonna go on the machine because you need.
Machine.
Well, actually, I guess I could ride on the back of your horse.
Heck yeah.
All right, so the flame skull cozies up next to you and kind of nudges it its way in front of you, riding, because if it's behind, it'll fall off. So you kind of have to ride with your arms, kind of cozying this flame skull, almost tickling your face. And the two of you start riding off, and then Chukka and Clunk clamber aboard the other ones, and one of you gets to figure out how to drive whichever vehicle you pick. And I'll let you decide what that is, and we'll find out after this break. Internet, thanks very much for listening. Don't forget, we always take suggestions, especially about name titles. So if you're getting any ideas as we go on our journey out into hell, these battered and bruised adventurers.
But if we drive this thing, that means we don't get a rest.
That's true. So actually, you know what? Chukka and
four of us need a rest.
that's true. So Fenris,
So
you get to drive. Or well,
but
actually,
he needs a rest as well.
he does.
How long of a rest are we talking about here? Short rest wise or long rest wise?
I need a long rest.
Long rest. Well, I want to learn how to drive because we're going to keep one. But I'm not driving to begin with, right? Like, isn't
All
like
right.
Chonka driving one and Clonk driving the other?
And you mention that to them, and they look at each other like, and you see them be like, eh! And they mutter something to you in Infernal. You understand Infernal, right?
Yes, I do.
So there's like, what the hell? And you see Clunk walk over to one and Chukka go over to the other one, and they motion for you to get on. You power up your vehicles. The sound is deafening as they drop in the soul coin to power them, as the engine roars with this throaty, almost like unmuffled Harley Davidson sound to it. The whole thing shudders. Both vehicles shudder to life, and you can hear just underneath this thunderous roar, you hear the tormented screams of the souls being shredded apart as fuel.
That's the thing that happens.
And with that, we're going to take a little break. So how long do you guys want? 10 minutes? 15?
Should be fine.
10? All right. So we'll be back in 10 minutes, and we'll see you in a little bit. Thanks, everybody. All right. Enough messing about. We got Dungeons and Dragons to play. Let's do this. Best segue ever. Hey, Internet, we're back. Thanks for bearing with us as we dug around and took a little breather and, stretch our legs and so on. So we're back. That's the window. Sorry, I'm just messing up things all over the place here. So, we were chatting and trying to see what's going to happen next and where we want to go from there. And I'm willing to admit that we have some options as how we choose to go forward in terms of how long you guys are wanting to embrace this campaign. I also was talking with Darcy and mentioned I do want to run some Shadowrun again. I'm pretty keen to do that. So is that light on? So I'm definitely interested in doing some Shadowrun soon as well alongside this. So I was wondering how people felt about doing an alternating game. Because I can only really do one night a week, I think. I'd have to check in with the fam, but I would love to be able to do more than that. But I think right now, let's safely say we could do one night a week. And so maybe, how would people feel about doing either alternating Shadowrun and D&D, or alternatively maybe do like 2 nights D&D, 1 night Shadowrun, or some variation thereof, on a semi-regular schedule, like maybe every third game is Shadowrun. What do you think? I'm not even sure if everybody wants
to. Right? Like, I don't know. I super don't want to abandon this game. This game is cool and great, and we have a lot invested in it.
You're level 11 for crying out.
I want to play some other systems. That's just me. I'm just I don't know.
And you don't have to answer about the wrapping up this campaign. There's some points I definitely want to get to wrap up, and I'm enjoying the story a lot. But I did want to mention that we got some options at this point, and definitely Shadowrun is one of them. And I've been keen to re-inhabit that. So, food for thought.
Food for thought.
Definitely.
All right. So be on the lookout for that. And if you're wanting to vote, hey, if on the internet, if you got to say too, what do you feel like us doing? We'll probably just do what we want to do anyway. But I'm happy to entertain some constructive suggestions. Now, if the internet nicknames us Boaty McBoatface and tells us to go sit and spin, then I'm probably gonna ignore it. But if you've got some, if you've been invested in our games, and we're happy to take inputs to try and make things better and make it fun for you as well. But of course, gotta check it with the players and see where we want to take it from here. I for that whole thing, I was just sitting there as a DM being like, are they gonna split the party? Like, legit split the party right now? Anyway.
Certainly don't worry about me. I'm happy to sit and watch, and the less time I'm on screen, the more time I get to spend plot points and make your life miserable.
All right.
Okay.
And with that, I guess we'll dive back in. All right. Here we go. So, Henrietta.
Okay, me, sure.
You've been riding for a long time. The dust is kicked up. Your mount is celestial, so it doesn't seem to slow it down much, and it is a fast creature. Barnabas rarely shuts the hell up, and certainly the map, unless you cap the scroll case that you carry it in, it's a lot. On your way out, you pointed out rough direction of where you were going to head. Barnabas like, that way towards the sticks. I'll message you if I need to. And then you guys went off on your own. The rest of you, is there anything you want to do before you leave this encampment?
I think we need to stock up on some supplies, right?
Yeah.
But other than that, I don't think there's any reason to stay.
Okay. Mickey comes hobbling over at your request, and between Chaka, Clunk, and Mickey, and the occasional Madcap kind of slowing things down, but you guys get 2 weeks worth of rations each, no problem. They don't taste great. Food and water. And a little bit of wine actually is furnished as well. The wine is slightly more refreshing than the water, but again, it's basically a vinegar wine. It'll do, but it's not great. And Mad Maggie does kind of walk up to Faluri's been kind of standing off to one side. So Mad Maggie definitely walks up to Faluri at one point and motions towards the grove where you had all had the dream and says,
Yes, I will say this. How well did you know your friend, Archibald?
Cool guy, cool wig. Beyond that, just met the guy.
Well, I'll keep my eyes open for him, but without a guide, the dreamscape can be rather treacherous. Puzzling. I've only ever seen a person enter the scape like themselves when I bring them through. Or when I learn from my coven. Interesting. Anyway, should you ever wish to come back, I can provide shelter. I can even let you back into the dreamscape, if you wish.
Definitely keep a lookout for him. And perhaps if he doesn't show up, if we need to return, maybe we can try again to reach him.
I will. Is there anything else I can do for you? You've been helpful.
Sure. Well, there is just one thing. You said your sisters in a coven.
Yes. I grew up here, but we would travel. My mother and I, our brood, our coven. 7 sisters we were.
Was one of them named Nigella? And I examine her for a reaction.
Roll an insight check.
Oh, I'm spending my last luck point.
What did you roll? What did you roll?
It was a nat 1.
Of course it was.
Of course it was. Last luck point. Here we go. Oh, terrible. 7. I'm rolling shit tonight.
You see her face pause. And I'm actually going to roll to see how well, whether she'll give anything up here. Just one sec. Only got an 8 plus her charisma, which probably bring it up a bit more. So you see her freeze and stare at the ground for a second at the mention of the name. Funny thing about Dream. If you're in there as part of the ritual, you see, we are all connected there. In some way. And so, it's funny. I haven't thought about her in a long time. But who knows? Who knows? I guess the stray wandering thought. Funny you should ask. She died.
I see.
She's, are you trying to persuade her to tell you more? Or
Yeah,
con her to tell her more?
I'm going to try to persuade her to tell me a bit more about this.
All right, roll
read her,
persuasion,
but-
please.
Yeah.
Effectively, what's happening is she does an insight check on you right now. Just be like, how much
Well.
do you know?
Huh.
Man, we're dueling with low rolls tonight.
With
You
the
got
low rolls.
12, I got 10. All right. She looks at you and, yes, well, voices on the wind. Voices on the wind. It's funny what you can learn in a dream, isn't it, my dear?
Yeah.
And she absentmindedly draws her like creepily long fingers down your sleeve in this kind of very familiar way of like, not. It's kind of, it's hard. It's almost like a grandma flirting. And she draws her hand down your sleeve and rests it at the crooks of your elbow for a second, and then draws down and her fingers kind of they're moving down towards the pocket where you've been keeping this the silk the blankie that you managed to do. You don't happen to have mending, do you?
I don't.
Okay. Well, you've got the 2 pieces of the blankie, and she's, yes. It is funny what fragments we might pick up from a dream. Sometimes they're meaningful, and other times useless drivel of the mind. And in the end, really, I suppose it depends
what we make of them. Does
Just one second.
Sure. Oh, yes, I understand that. This is Dungeons and Dragons and parenting. Yeah, I can tell. All right. Meanwhile, Darmita, are you going to be doing anything, or are you good?
I'm gonna wait and just observe as Fenris is speaking to her, and I'm gonna wait until we start walking to leave before I pull him aside and just look at him and go, "Really? You're gonna leave another one?"
You want to stay? We can go fetch him.
Well, it seems the decisions have been made.
I'm not actually the decider here. You guys, if you've chosen to follow me, that's your choice, but from what I understand, I think he chose to stay here. I have no idea how to get him.
Okay. I just find it curious.
All right. Valerie. Chakra comes up to you and kind of nudges you on the shoulder to get your attention. All the bags are getting packed up. Birds? Birds of a feather. Yeah.
No.
Chuck is the bigger one. He thumps you harder on the shoulder this time and he's like, birds of a feather stick together. Devils lie. In a slightly different voice, he says that last one. Devils lie.
Notice that.
And then
All right.
kind of shrugs and goes, a deal is a deal. Devils lie.
Deal's a deal.
He walks off. All right, and with that, which infernal machines are you deciding on? You get 2 to choose. 1 you get to keep. You can decide that later, but you have to roll out in 2 of them now. There's the, what do you think?
Darcy's already on his own.
Darcy, I believe, is choosing to ride his horse as much as possible. Although there will be times when you're going to want to dismiss that horse based on just the travel speed alone, but at this moment, that's not a problem.
All right, so we have how many people? Then we need. There's 3 of us, and then who else?
You've got Chaka and Clonk, and then Henrietta and Barnabas aren't here, but you'll catch up to them presumably.
Ooh.
Should we get a tormentor that carries 4?
Yep, that could carry 4 and be quick. That's the Dune Buggy one. Demon Grinder carries 8. So does the Scavenger. Demon Grinder is armed and able to do stuff. The other one can grapple and has harpoons. Demon Grinder is large and chompy. It's your call.
Do we want to get a big one and a small one?
No.
So I think there's more than 4 of us, right? Like, we have Lulu.
Oh yeah, there's
And
Lulu too.
Lulu can turn into a pretty sizable Hollyphant.
They're not actually that large. They are considered a medium creature, I believe.
Sure. But I think I would rather pick one of the bigger ones, like either the Demon Grider or the Devil's Ride. Probably the Demon Grider, to be honest. Like
the Demon Grinder means more business. There's probably a little more room to stretch out in the Scavenger in the kind of cargo area. It might be a bit more comfortable. But it's got a long chain on a winch. And the other one has a swinging wrecking ball and grinding bits and chompers, and both of them have harpoons. But yeah, they're basically the same size.
Let's go with the Scavenger and Tormentor then, if we're gonna go over the big one and the small one.
Sure.
And if we had to have two, right?
Sure. Done.
Sure. So you go with the Tormentor, the Dune Buggy, and you go with the Scavenger, which is the bus-like one with the crane.
Good with me.
All right.
Sounds good.
Chaka and Clunk give the thumbs up, and they go over to the various vehicles, load you all in. And those of you who are wanting some sleep, which I believe is all three of you, can I get you to do a Constitution saving throw? Yeah, let's go with the Constitution to try and get a decent semblance of sleep while on these moving, screeching vehicles.
18.
13 for me.
It's over 10, so yeah, all three
17.
of you. All three of you managed to, after you're so exhausted from your multiple nights of no rest equivalents, that took more than a single day. And so now you are all very tired. And so you fall asleep. The strange rattling, thumping, kind of lulling you after a while as the landscape just tears by, dust kicked up behind you, and Chaka and Clunk kind of howling and feeling the wind in their feathers and just enjoying the sensations. One of the few joyful sensations you can get here in hell. And you kind of lulled, even with the screeching sound of the screaming souls, almost drowned out. You don't have great dreams, but you do fall asleep and have a restful rest. After about, there was probably a good 2-hour head start, maybe 3-hour head start for Henrietta. After about the fifth hour, they had to circle around for a little while, going past kind of where you might have been, and at one point they roused Valerie to do a quick scout around to see if they can spot Henrietta. Valerie, can you go ahead and roll either perception or survival?
Let's go with doesn't matter, same roll anyways, so 20.
Oh, nice. Oh yeah, you can see the tracks that the horse left, although they fade faster than a regular horse's would. But your keen eyes and sailing high above the plain and above these vehicles, they do have to slow down a little bit so they don't outdistance you too much, but you are able to keep pace with them, especially when the shadows cross the sky even more. Then you can engage your your teleport ability to get a little caught up. So you're circling above, and in pretty quick order, you find the trail for Henrietta, almost heading directly due north from where you started. And after a little while, you can see her. It appears she's approaching probably a couple of miles away from where the sticks are. And you also see this strange thing ahead in the Styx, which is this incredibly wide river. Think St. Lawrence. There are definitely parts of the Styx where you can't easily see across. Up ahead, sticking out of it, it looks like there's it's right on the edge of vision, kind of almost in line with the mountainscape, which is really far off. You see these tall shapes extending out of the river, almost like mountains, but incredibly thin, almost like towers, like as if a skyscraper, although with these strange hooked kind of almost T-like shape to them, sticking way in the distance in the sticks, a long way off, and you're heading more or less in that direction. On the other side, you see large volcanoes, billowing smoke, and various sections of dust storms and that sort of thing rolling around on the plain. But you find Henrietta and can rendezvous without much difficulty.
Okay. When there's actually a quiet moment before we meet up with Henrietta, and I assume like I'm awake, I'll actually motion Valerie to come over.
All right.
Valerie lands on the machine you're driving on. Are you on the dune buggy or the big thing now?
The big one, the Tormentor, I think.
Okay.
And I'll say, Valerie, you did well back there. We don't know each other very well. Picked you up, but you're proving yourself quite well. I have a question for you. When you
Go ahead.
when you were tracking down Benkum with Darmita, what did you see?
Saw survivors, or one of the survivors, I can't remember her name.
Farah?
Sounds about right.
Fork. Okay.
Yes. She was saying that there were still some survivors out there, and that she was doing her best to keep them safe. We also saw Sarnia. Unfortunately, we weren't in a position to engage at that time. And
Sarnia.
Yes.
She's alive.
Very much so.
I thought I killed her.
Well, they say second and third time's a charm.
And what of Benkum?
They were dragging him, I believe.
Sarnia?
And her minions. That's where I'm a little fuzzy in terms of recollection.
So, what you recall is you had a conversation with Farah, the half-orc guardian of the Citadel, self-elected, and she told you about what happened in your absence and you found evidence of the struggle, and you could kind of piece things back together. And between what Farah told you about what happened, these chain devils had Benkum captured, and Sarnia came along, escorted by 4 more chain devils, and they ended up beating him to unconsciousness or death. Farah couldn't tell from there, and it did seem like they bound him very carefully, though, and they dragged him out of there and went north of the High Hall, leaving the High Hall, and it looks like they left. It looks like they went to the edge, or at least one of the routes out of El Turel. And you used your tracking abilities between you and Darmita to see if you could follow them, and there was a bit of a trail, and you chose... Yeah. Come back. Now, Fenris wouldn't necessarily know all of that yet.
I didn't know any of that.
And you might not know now, I'm more reminding.
Yeah. Valerie, could Benkum be alive?
It could be a possibility. But there's no way to confirm. Sorry.
Sarnia is a minion of the Eye of Pelor, of this Zariel.
You have a mind that if we destroy Zariel, that she'll be released from his grasp? Or do you think that she'll pick up the mantle?
I have a mind that
Is she ambitious?
I don't know her. We only fought her twice and sent her packing both times. But where we're going, she will likely be there. Eventually, once we get this sword, we need to deal with him, and she will be there, I think. But I thought Benkum was dead, and now I'm not so sure.
You cast a glance over to the sleeping form of Darmita, the machine gently rocking as you tear across the landscape.
Thanks for letting me know, Valerie.
Glad to be of some assistance.
And who... You keep talking about this prey of yours. This is the one in the same?
Sarnia. Very cunning. Very cunning prey. Must bring her back. Alive, preferably. Dead, acceptable.
If you bring her back alive and kill her, she'll just come back here. If you kill her here, she dies for good.
As long as I have some proof to bring back that she is indeed taken care of.
All right, then.
Let us continue and find our mutual mark.
A few moments later, you hear Chaka call out from the front. Bert! Bert!
I have a name.
I have a name.
Don't just call me Bird.
Bert! And he points forward, and you see ahead of you, you see the dust cloud kicked up by a horse. On its back, you see Henrietta riding almost arrow straight.
All right, I see something in the horizon. Should we make haste? I believe it might be Henrietta.
I think it might be Henrietta.
Okay. I suppose we can pick her up.
Cut to a few minutes later, this thing rolls up. We can skip this if you want. Interestingly, you brought the bus with the large cargo hold. You could get a horse in there. You'd need to try to keep it calm, but you could do it. Or you can dismiss your steed. It's up to you, Henrietta. Or do you want to... You can also travel at the speed of horseback, and they can just deal with it.
Yeah, so like I noticed them closing in on me, I suppose.
Yep.
And can I spot Valerie? Because otherwise I would just assume that these are other, devils, right?
Do a perception check for me.
Sounds fair.
Just fly over and drop a deuce. He'll know it's me.
That's canon
I
now.
would do it.
Yeah, you go by. Actually, rather than a perception check, let's have you roll a dexterity saving throw.
Sure. I'll probably fail that. 9.
Oh, no.
Yep.
Sure.
Right
yeah,
on the back flank of It's your choice, the horse or you.
Yeah, I was gonna say I catch it in a pauldron, so it just seems appropriate.
Yeah, just right off his shoulder.
I look up, see them, and I'll like stop. Whoa, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah, absolutely.
yeah.
The horse. It's almost pretty
Down.
pretty natural how the horse responds to your commands. It's just almost the second you think of it, it's responding. And Barnabas kind of hovers off of your lap and, oh, thank goodness. I think I might be allergic to horses. And he goes
What about
over
the horse?
and Barnabas is going to take control of the larger, the bigger of the two vehicles, and then Clonk's going to lay down for a while. It's been about 5-6 hours at this point.
I imagine, because so I'm going straight and narrow, but
Yep.
I have been at least discussing a bit with Barnabas. You even said it probably never shut up, so
Between that and the map,
I think
it's been
probably
an
there's
education.
gonna be I might use it as a flashback if I ever want to know something that I can't think of right now. But I do want to ask about so how are we gonna cross this river? Where are you taking me? Right, it's sort of okay, I'm going straight there, but also I know where I'm going, and I know the sticks is in the way. You're gonna help me get across that, right? You're gonna take me to the spot that's
Well,
crossable.
I know that there are places we could maybe cross, but they're usually thick with either demons or devils. If you have to choose between the two, I would try the devils. At least you can kind of reason with them most times. Demons, it's a rare demon that would end up making a discussion with you, but it does happen. In fact, both will take from you if they can, but ultimately, you could probably get away with making a deal to be carried across. There are some barges and ferries that the devils.
Barge, so no bridge or
that could work.
manipulation of the landscape.
Well, it's hard to say from here. And the map pipes up. Yes. Across we go. Oh no. Sometimes the best way to a place is not to head there at all.
Do they speak any sense? That's exactly what I'm asking, really. Can we not go there at all and end up there anyway?
You seek a shortcut. There are plenty of shortcuts to be had. Only some of them might be your undoing.
Speed is, what's the phrase? Time is of the essence, all that.
Essence, yes. Sometimes it is and sometimes it isn't. Just like the Tower of
So I imagine these conversations are happening over the course of my travel on its own.
As you start to piece together between the two of them, that you could try to get a barge at the riverside, and hope that you can make a deal with somebody there. You could also seek out this thing. He did mention this tower and that there is someone there who's either seeking help or offers help from time to time. And it's a little scattered as to what this creature might mean by that. But essentially, there is someone at what's called the Tower of Yeah, right there. In the middle of, on the edge of or middle of a lake, one of the tributaries. And you could head there, and that is on this side of the river. You could get up to the shore of that, and it's possible to make contact with the Tower of
Well, I'm not gonna like retcon where I went, right? So
No.
I have heard this information and collected it, and now I'm meeting up with everyone. Sort of. I don't know where are we? Like sort of like here-ish.
Yeah, you're pretty much coming up on the river.
Okay.
There's a large, it almost looks like a splinter of stone and iron just wedged into the ground ahead of you that makes kind of a natural little, sort of like a square shaped rock sticking either up out of the ground or slamming into it. And it's very large. It would definitely have crevices and cracks in it. It might be a good place. It might be an awful place.
We'll reconnoiter with the machines, whatever they're called, infernal machines. Well, seem to have made good time. How are you faring?
Doing all right.
I think we're gonna have to take a barge if we're getting across. I mean, that's where I'm heading.
Yeah, all right.
Cool. I don't know what happens between the here and there. But
All right,
that's
so
the plan.
you want to try to take a barge across just by kind of continuing north, see if there's anything along the edge there?
Yeah, I mean, I assume Barnabas has some suggestions for help speed up that process.
Absolutely. So,
there's like a wharf here or whatever. Like, I don't know.
Okay, so just give me a moment here while I figure out where that's going to land you.
Yeah, I think probably we cross and then maybe we take a pit stop at Harriman's Hill. That seemed like a relevant location, and it's on the way. Probably what we'll do.
All right, so, so what you, interestingly, okay, so as you're heading north, and you can see, kind of just past this splinter of stone, you definitely see there are some things along the edges of the river that look like structures. They're more shaped than this. The stone that was sticking up was pretty jagged. And beyond that, you see a more smooth structure being pretty close to the edge of the sticks and kind of having a pretty commanding view of that area up on a hillside at that point. That would be the only thing that you can kind of see in that particular region. And it extends up several, probably 4 or 5 stories. It's in worth of height, overlooking the sticks. Would you like to go there? Would you like to turn left to the lake, off to your left, or find another way across? Or keep going north and hopefully find something further up along the river.
Well, I think we're just going along the river to find a barge, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So
That's
I think we would just kind of travel along the western side of the river and kind of trace, be a little bit away from the shore, but within line of sight, so that we could keep an eye out for any type of ship for passage, barge, ferry, or something else.
All right. This is interesting. I may need to read up on this a little bit more. So, in order to get to, Barnabas points out, he's like, well, I've never been there. This is kind of on the edge, but, that, and he points at the large structure sticking up out of the water. That's the Stygian dock. There's these fortresses that can fly above, and they need to stop and anchor and get fuel. And at the mention of that, the mad cartographer of the map pipes up and says,
"The flying fortress of Avernus need fuel, and what better fuel than the souls of the damned?"
So they would, And there are these spikes that sit up, and it looks like they're reaching out towards each other. And you can see there's a space between them. There is no flying fortress currently docked, whatever that might look like. But these two almost tower-like structures extending off the sides do connect to the banks, although some of the banks overflow around them. And they reach out towards each other like hands grasping across the river, and there is a big gap between them, but it's not as big otherwise, and it looks like there's something could fit in between those two, and that is the Stygian dock?
Pronounced Stygian.
Stygian, thank you.
I don't know if that's right. That's how I pronounce it.
Yeah, the Stygian. I like the way that sounds. So it's a massive iron structure that appears to be a pair of docking arms straddling the river Styx extends out over it. Hefty clamps, chains, and bars are fixed to the docking arms to lash large vessels between them. You can continue past it? You're getting closer basically by the minute as you tear along. In these machines. By the way, did you dismiss your steed, or are you trying to keep it calm in the back?
I try to keep it calm if I can.
All right. Roll an animal handling check for me.
Sure, yeah.
Gotta love the animal handling.
Yeah. It is not a beast, but sure. Wink. Where's my rolls? I got 21.
Ooh, yes, that
We traded in this weirdly enough.
actually.
I know horses. I'm a knight, sort of.
There's also something else that happens when you go. There is at one moment the structure, the machine you're riding, and shudders, and the horse starts to shift and get nervous, and you go to whisper it to be calm, and your voice just has this strange be calm. Like there's this force behind your voice.
Yeah.
It's not harsh, and the creature responds. And this is where you begin to understand something a little bit more about that helm that you're stuck with.
Oh no.
You seem to be able to expend some energy. Let's call them charges.
Sure.
And you can command using this. Your horse responds immediately and soothes.
So I did this unintentionally. I just okay. So I noticed what I've done, and okay.
And that gives you a bit more insight into what you you get this strange feeling like the horse definitely heard you being a celestial creature and obeyed immediately.
Right. Yeah. I mean, they can understand me. Like they communicate. It's a magic horse.
Barnabas has been taking it easy at this point and traded off with Chukka at this point. And so Barnabas is in the big room with you with the horse, and he looks up at you at your word. He's like, "What did you say? Were you talking to me?"
Just trying to calm my horse.
Ah. God damn, I'm nearly positive I'm allergic to that thing. Ugh. And if a flaming skull could have running mucus, it would. It's more like protoplasm.
Right.
Anyway, so there's something about being able to command certain things with this helm.
Yeah, I try to figure out how that works so I can not do it on accident again.
Okay. You can either roll Arcana or Religion.
Okay. Yeah, I'll go roll religion. Where's that? R. 24.
Ooh, 24. You calm your mind and say some prayers, and the side of the helm that seems to be attuned to the celestial is comforting and guiding in your thoughts. And it's a little bit of like hot and cold. You're like, you have a thought and it feels nice, and then you have a thought and it's like cold. So it takes a little while, but you discover you have a helm of, it's, the name of this is the Demon and Angel Command.
Right.
It allows you to command certain beings, but not all beings. And they would get a saving throw to see if they can resist that command or not. Effectively, you have 3 charges. As an action, you can expend 1 charge to cast command, and with a certain DC, let's call it 6. I'm kind of merging a couple of magic items out of the book here. This only affects demons or celestials.
Demons specifically, it's not fiends. Okay.
Not fiends, just demons or celestials.
Interesting.
It's, if it resists, then it's fine and you can't do it again for 24 hours. But actually, yeah, I think that's the case. Anyway, I'll read up on it. But basically, after 24 hours,
I don't want to engage
regains
with the
the charge.
mechanic because I'm morally opposed to commanding people magically. So
that's fair, but
Cool.
you are able to issue commands to both demons and
cool. I will write down that, and if I
angelics.
need to ask you with the mechanics, I will do
Sure.
so. So
Sure.
don't worry about it right now.
Okay.
Great. Anyway, as far to like what is going on, are we not seeing like any barges, or are we only seeing the Stygian dock?
So you see the
That
Stygian
seems
dock,
not
and
relevant. But maybe
well, here's the thing: as it reaches up and over, it almost touches at the top. There's probably a gap of about 50 to 100 feet, but it seems to be the only way across at this point. You could continue going north, or you could try
Or is it a
to.
bridge? We can't even get on top of it, right? It's like 500 feet up.
Well, the weird thing is it's got these lower platforms and then all these chains, so it appears like it can lower or raise depending on whether it's going to be grasping
So like
something in
Barnabas
the
is
middle.
telling us this kind of thing that we could
Yeah.
use as a bridge theoretically.
Yeah. In
Okay.
theory,
I mean,
you could.
yeah.
In theory, I suppose you could have them. If you can convince them to lower it, then you might be able to get across. But yeah, it'd be a hell of a ride.
You said there's barges. I think that's our best bet. And like, don't let me speak for the rest of you, but that's my thought in this situation.
All right. There are those who could do that, but Barnabas can't think of anyone who might have one off the top of his head. They generally stick
So
to
I
their
think we're
turf
just heading
south of here.
north and like following the sticks and keeping an eye out. Is what it
All
sounds
right.
like to me.
Sure.
But again, I don't want to like, bully this conversation.
No problem. All right. Certainly, if you have any flying, you could get across, but then you'd have to leave your vehicles behind.
Right.
All right. So you can continue on past the Stygian dock. Can I get whoever's driving or whoever wants to kind of be in charge of how quiet or obvious you are? Can I get someone to do a dexterity check? If you're proficient in land vehicles, you can add your proficiency. Otherwise, it's just straight dex. Who wants to helmet?
Not me.
And I assume we're going at the like breakneck, like 200 feet around speed, basically.
Oh, yeah, if you want to be rushing. And you can even go faster.
Well, I mean, the thing
if
is,
you
like,
have to.
if we're going at 100, I'll just stick to my horse, right? Like,
yeah, you're going to be going at pretty breakneck speeds.
yeah.
So
It's
if
like
I
my
had-
double speed is slightly more than their standard speed, so
So if I handled this, I won't be able to go and Ricky out, but I assume that we just need to go across, so I can do the check.
Yep, do it. Go ahead and do a check to see how stealthily and effectively you can drive your vehicle. And Chaka and Clunk will do the others. Somebody want to roll for Chaka or Clunk? That one is proficient. So that would be
We're not rolling
adding a
stealth,
plus
it's
8.
just dex. Yeah.
It's just dex, yeah.
roll a d20.
Alright, guys. Clunk, 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 clunk.
All right. Well, first roll's in.
So, Darcy, that was Chukka?
I mean, it was going to be, but it looks like Bela beat me to the punch. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Well, I guess it was, let's say Bela. It was your turn to do the driving. Is that all right? All right. So, add your dex to that.
That would be a +4.
Okay, so that's 21. That's pretty good. You actually managed to handle it effectively and efficiently, dodging around potholes and not kicking up as much dust. Chukka, on the other hand, does not take as much care, kind of just tearing along. He does add +8 to that, though, and gets a 20. So between the two, 21 and 20, you manage to tear past what looks like one of these, what they call the Barnabas points out that it's a Styx watchtower, and where the devils keep an eye for the demons coming out of the Styx. And you can see these devils on the top of one of the watchtowers just kind of watching, and they only get a glimpse of you just at the last second because you've been staying behind a hill, and then they're like, and you can kind of see them motioning and pointing, and you can definitely see Chukka and Clunk flipping them off as they go by, but they don't seem to be giving any kind of chase. Also, you're gone so fast they'd have a hard time keeping up. So you're coming up on, you can go the long way around the river, or you can try to find a passage. The tricky bit about this this section near the river is that it kind of pinches in between two mountainous regions. So which way would you like to go? You can go around the long way around, which takes you around all the way around this river, but you wouldn't have to hope to find a way across, or you can find your way across this section.
Yeah, my understanding, we were already we'd have to be doubling back if we wanted to go around the river or around the lake.
The watchtower was only about.
It depends. Like
the watchtower was only here, so you can kind of decide whether you want to continue direct north or around the river.
Right. Yeah, it would have been much faster to go straight to the tower, but yeah, I see what you're saying. What sort of things do we have to deal with when it comes to the mountain, according to Barnabas and or?
Okay, sure.
I'm gonna call him Carrie for short.
The cartographer. Well, he doesn't make recommendations exactly. He's hard to understand at the best of times. But when you ask him what's ahead, Barnabas doesn't know all that much. He just kind of his best bet is that he's a little more used to talking to the insane cartographer, so he can kind of steer you with general impressions. But he hasn't been this far north. They generally stick around a bit south. Certainly not helming things. So the cartographer, when you point ahead, and Barnabas is like, no, he wants to know where we are and what's ahead. And the cartographer says,
as close to a place of pilgrimage you will find in this accursed place a beacon to those seeking the missing link or looking for a way out.
If you want to keep going, you'll enter into a place that the cartographer identifies as
the Sundered Chains.
I don't have any.
Do the mountains completely abut the Styx, or can we?
They
follow
do.
The shore?
But he points, and there's these chain links, these massive chains. Some of them buried at points underneath the ground. Other times they come bursting up. These massive, absolutely towering chains, colossal spiked chains extend across the hellscape. Their links partly buried under ash and large chunks of rock and masonry. Each broken chain is roughly a mile long, and it might be possible to maybe either make use of them or find a way to use that to get across that section.
Maybe I shouldn't be looking at this map because it's influencing my opinion about what should be going on.
Well, you do have a cartographer, so it's kind of fair you can interact with it. It's up to you.
No, I'm just looking at it being like, those are mountains. Yeah.
this section is the sundered chains. So
Sure.
you can definitely look for a way to use the chains to get across this section and continue north, or you can go the long way around.
Well, there's no way. So there's no way through the mountain. Like it's just like completely a blockade.
No, I'm saying that if you get close enough, you might be able to creatively use these chains as a kind of improvised bridge. If you look above
assuming there's no chains, can you get through the mountains?
if there's no chains, probably not. Or well, it depends on how far you could either jump these things or telekinetically haul them. But the river is extremely small at that point, so you would be able, like, distance-wise, it's not much to fjord at that point, but it would involve going deeper in. So I'm assuming you're going to be wanting to take a closer look then?
Yeah, sure.
Why not?
Sure. Okay. So you keep going, and there are mountains on either side, and you end up passing these large links that come up out of the ground, and at that point, as you're making your way into these mountains, you have to slow down, and you can see now there are devils walking in packs, 2s and 3s, sometimes solos. They don't seem to be paying much attention to you yet, but you can pick them out. Your passive perception is pretty easy. It seems like chain devils are walking. In fact, it's almost entirely chain devils, but there are a few more. When you get a little bit closer into the mountains, you can see the first sundered chain that you come across. You see a chain devil performing a ritual of some kind, standing on top of this massive chain link and just howling up into the sky and screaming, and its long chains just scratching and clawing at this massive chain link, leaving little to no marks on it, just clearing dust off of it. He stands a good 30 feet in the air, and the link is at least 50 feet long before it plunges back down. It's half submerged in the grounds, almost like an arc. And you can see several other chain devils, and a few other types of devils standing nearby, as they seem to be writhing and chanting in a motion together. Can I get you to do another stealth check for me, please? I'm going to say at disadvantage. I'm going to need at least 2 of you to helm a stealth check. At disadvantage because of the roar of the motor. Whoever wants to.
I guess I will, because I'm assuming still driving one.
Sure.
Seems reasonable.
The vehicle stealth would be dex only, right?
In this case, I'm actually going to make it a straight up stealth check. However, you are at disadvantage.
So we're just having 2 of us roll it and just kind of using it as a mechanical thing.
Yeah.
More so than really worrying about the simulation. Okay.
Right.
I can do stealth if you wish, but
Oh, for me.
Those both seem to be survival checks. I don't know if it's different for you.
Shoot. It is different. I don't know why it rolled survival.
S is close to
Well, you
stealth.
rolled.
It's 1 below.
Yeah. It should be a lot more.
Yeah, go ahead. You can re-roll, and again with disadvantage.
Not a lot more, but the first one would be 15, and the second one would be 21.
Take the lower one.
Yeah, the 15.
15 and 18. All right. Let me just make a quick roll. The one on top of the chain is literally like, it's this creepy dance where it's hanging at points and swinging on its own chains wrapped around this larger one. It appears to be almost worshiping these chains in a way. certainly trying to do some kind of ritual with it and gain something, hoping you get snatches of it, screaming out to Asmodeus and the Chained Oblivion and all kinds of stuff. And meanwhile, the other two that are writhing around and just kind of standing guard, but not very well. They seem to be distracted, and occasionally one of them seems to try to be emulating the larger one up on the top, and the one that's next to it seems to be mocking it incessantly for being like, "You want to be like him? You're an idiot." They take no notice of you. The sound of the water and the chanting seemingly drowning out the sound of the machines you're riding. So you're all clear to keep going. You do see a spot. Do a survival check, or you can take one of the ones you did before if you want.
I gotta get back to it. I was trying to make it so it would roll with advantage next time, but survival?
Yep. Yeah. No. Hold on. It's gonna mess everything up.
9. Not so good.
Okay, so it's gonna take you quite a while to find your way across that river. In fact,
Oh, wait. Would I get advantage on this, though, because of my favored terrain?
it is your hellscapes are apparently your favorite terrain. So go for it. Absolutely. You hunt fiends. That's what you do. All of your training. It's interesting. You're
But 13.
13.
Better.
It definitely takes you some time, but you do find a spot that it's likely you can get the machines across and to the north side of that ridge. They may get submerged in the Styx if you're not careful. They'll be going up to probably the wheel wells, but you can do it with a good handling check to get across to steal something from Shadowrun. So I'm going to get you to who wants to helm crossing the river? We'll need 2 of you to do it, either on behalf of Chunk and Clonk. Chaka and Clonk, that's what I'm saying. Or you can be driving it yourself.
I mean, it seems like we have pro drivers for a reason, right? If I understand this correctly, we're going on the I guess cardinal directions aren't really relevant because it's hell. But the way we're looking at this map, on the left side of the pass there, along the edge of the range, not on the right side, right? That's what we're
Yes,
doing?
that is true. You're kind of
Okay.
I was
I'm
hoping
pinging
we could
find a way across the right side of that mountain, but I guess not. That's just not
Unfortunately, there wasn't really a good spot on the that you could find over there. But just kind of where these two peaks meet, there's a shallower section, and it splits into several streams. And you managed to find
there's these big
probably a good
chains,
place.
right?
Yeah.
And El Toro is still up in the air, right?
Mm-hmm. You look around, you can't actually see where El Torel is right now. It seems to be down and around a corner from this map.
Okay.
Actually, it's not on this map, technically. It's new here.
What do these big chains, do they look like the chains that are attached to El Torel?
Do an investigation check for me.
Okay.
I would say yes, but inasmuch that they are giant chains. Any more details than that, who knows? Let's find out.
Not 1. Never mind. 2.
It is a new day. If you do have your luck if you want it.
Sure, fine. I'll use 1. Only 1.
Yes. Use all the spell slots and the luck.
said.
Hey.
Whoa.
Flashback to Beast
inverse.
Barbarian of Chains Bankum.
Yeah, Ben Coom. I don't know if you saw, but Ben Coom got like kidnapped or killed. Like, yeah, that's some drama up in here. Thanks for dropping by, the Dreads. Good to see you again.
So nat 20, 21.
We'll redeem that flashpoint in just 1 sec. So nat 21, nice. Okay, so you get this interesting moment where you can tell long ago these giant chains, these are indeed almost identical to the ones that are that bind El Terrell here. These were tethered to an abducted city, and somehow that city tore free, leaving behind the broken bonds and shattered chunks of masonry left behind. You can actually piece that together as you see like parts of the stonework around here, like amongst all the rest of the actual stone, there is worked stones, and like you see part of a well, you see like part of a building kind of as though it had fallen here, and you see a broken chain link. Can you piece together that a city,
broken chain link?
Yeah, but there are several around, not just the large one.
You said this is a city that broke free with a broken chain link.
So, long ago, these giant chains tethered an abducted city to Avernus. That city somehow tore free, leaving behind its broken bonds and the scattered chunks of masonry. The chains are similar to the ones that bind El Terrell. You examine the chains, and you can tell that some intense supernatural force caused one or more of these links to sunder. Although the cause of the damage is beyond you, you can't tell. You conclude that breaking the chains of El Terrell is not beyond the realm of possibility. Literally breaking them.
Very cool.
It would take a lot, though.
I mentioned that to the others, right? That this is another city was once being brought down and broke free, and they managed to break these chains.
What makes you think it broke free? These aren't just scattered.
I point out all the broken chains, and you don't see maybe not, but I don't see a city down here. So there's a way to break these chains that could set El Terrell free.
Can you
Perhaps.
tell what type of thing broke these? Was it magic? Was it like a weapon?
Something of incredible power. I don't know if I think you're saying that can I do an Arcana check or?
Sure, go ahead and do either Arcana or Religion.
Yeah, I was wondering if I could connect those dots and make a religion to find out if
Sure. You
some
one of you do
crazy
one.
angel sword might have done it, right? Wink, wink.
Yeah, exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
but I'm gonna do Arcana check.
Sure.
Another nat 20, 25.
Nice.
Oh, damn. Just throwing nat 20s around.
After crappy rolling all night.
All right.
20s. That's all you need.
You definitely ascertain that this doesn't look like strength broke these. Not pure strength. That would cause a bending and a stretching, as though it doesn't seem like a giant came and pulled these apart. It looks like these were shorn in some way. And some supernatural force, whether a spell or some kind of something, cut this or shattered this, allowing it to be sundered. And once the chains were broken, it seems that after the clean cut, you can see it was stretched a little, as though it was pulled after until it's kind of extended to if I had a chain link and then I cut it, it wouldn't immediately
come loose unless you either pulled with enough force to bend it to get it free or wiggled out the chain above. But it is possible to cut them.
Okay, I share that with the rest. That maybe this sword.
Seems like we're on the right track.
Yeah. Maybe we'll be able to save all those people after all.
All right. Well, it is getting late, so I think we might have to pause here as you've crested to the north side of the Sundered Chains, making your way.
Yeah, are we like at the end here, or are we like on the other side somehow, or are we still like in this crevice?
You're over here somewhere. Like you could.
Okay, cool.
Next time we come, we can be this little teeny river. You can ford no problem. It's
Great.
You'll still be on the wrong side of the sticks to get to Harriman Hill, but actually Lulu, as you're going forward, you can see now that you're past those mountains, you can see the next rise. And this one, as you go further up on to the label that is Harriman's Hill, it extends higher and higher and higher on the far side. And you can see it clearly. There are watchtowers along the left. You can make those out in the distance, but you can see this hill rising, almost 1,000 feet up into the air on the far side with a steep, sheer cliffs. And you can see these twisted, strange shapes along the hill at semi-regular intervals. That seems...
Isn't really my destination, right, according to the spell?
No,
I
but
do
almost due
acknowledge
north of that is...
Yeah.
And then as you are riding along, Darmita, a familiar little old man clambers up and next to you, kind of holding on as the machine's rattling along. You feel like you're getting the handle of these controls, at least a little at this point. And he comes along and Lulu kind of scrambles up next to you and, hello, how are you, my dear?
I'm okay. We're making our way.
Yes.
I'm anxious to get out of here, though.
I understand. I saw this place. I know that place. And he points up at the huge cliff miles in the distance. Harriman's Hill. I feel that it may be important. I wish I could remember more. Oh, sorry, I almost forgot. As you were crossing the sticks, you fjorded no problem with those rolls. The driving to get across with Chaka and Clunk. But they do point out, and Barnabas too points out, just whatever you do, you don't want to touch that water and certainly not drink it. It will fog your mind. Could even make you insane. Oh, sorry. No offense taken.
So, Lulu, do we need to get up there, on top of there?
Hey,
Because if we do, we're going to have to cross before we get to where we were originally going.
all I can really say for certain is I feel something or someone very familiar. I think it might have some of the answers that we seek. That you seek?
Do you sense it's very dangerous to go there, or could, say, a few of us go? Who
I
could get there easier without crossing
It is possible. Where there is life, there is always hope.
Here, I'm not finding that much, but
Oh, it appears some of the rules don't seem to apply here.
it's true.
But we may yet make that work in our favor. Oh, look. I wanted to show you something.
And he kind of does like a muted elephant trumpet, but like trying to keep it in, like, and just balloons out into his Hollyphant form, his nose, and like these little wings. It's basically winged ears, and where he had 3 wings in his form, he can obviously polymorph. So when he became a Deva, you saw him lop off one of his wings. But in Hollyphant form, he should have 4, and only had 3. And then he kind of spins around and motions to you, and you hear him speaking in your mind. Look, and there. And you can see one of the little nubs that had been severed, where the wing had been severed. There's just this little, almost baby little wing kind of growing out.
Cool.
I hope that's a good thing.
It might be. Are you capable? I know you made a bunch of us travel before, but are you capable of carrying one or more of us?
Oh, certainly. I do remember that part. You don't know it. I'm not what I used to be, but I am the royal mount to their highness, Commander Zariel, or I was. And we did amazing things together. Amazing. I should be able to help in my way.
All right. Well, we're not doing this for Zariel. You know that, right? Just checking. And we're doing this not through conversing.
No, it's not out loud. It's in your head.
Yeah. So I'm just going to be like, okay, we need to let the others know what you're sensing. I think I have a plan to get us there, but not everybody's going to be able to go. Well, actually, we all could go. If you can carry 2 of us.
I will do my very best.
Okay.
As I think you will. You could do great things, too.
Well, we all do our best.
Like her.
Mm-hmm. Like her.
As the dust kicks up behind you and the machines rattle on, you approach, winding your way along, dodging watchtowers. The looming high Harriman's Hill, that's hard to say, looming on the far side as you get closer and closer.
I'm going to call the others up and let them know what Lulu is sensing. And I think, Fenris, if you and Hen can go with Lulu, because he can carry you, Valerie and I, and Croak and
Clunk and
Clunk and Croak.
Yeah, the Kenku and Barnabas.
Yeah. The rest of us can get up there on our own. But
Barnabas points out that we're happy to stay here, and I would rather stay with the machines and keep an eye on them. We can wait for you, but I don't think we can get the machines across, at least not at this point.
no. But you're probably right to stay with the machines. It probably should only take the 5 of us.
Right.
Is Lulando here for this conversation?
Yep.
Okay.
All right. So you do have to refuel at some point, and you kind of pull off into one of these foothills on the left side, sort of near a fallen one of these rock spikes that have been driven in, about equidistance away from 2 of the watchtowers, kind of out of sight. I'd say somewhere around here between these 2 hills.
Got some good distance.
And yeah, you got some good distance covered that day, and you feel pretty tired. You could press on if you need to, but I'm thinking that this would be a good place to rest. And the next day you could attempt to either continue on your way or perhaps scale the heights of Harriman's Hill. But we will leave that for another time. Another day, another week. Hey, Internet, what do you want to name this show? Thanks, everybody, for playing. I wasn't sure what was going to happen today, and sorry about the pauses as I'm flipping frantically through the book, being like, where the hell are you?
Oh, it's good. It's really good.
Well, it's fun
I
that
need to
there's
remember
so
to have a
much.
conversation with Lulando.
Absolutely. Sure. And if there's anything else anybody wants to do over the break, we can do that. And I'm assuming you'll do all the things you need to keep yourself healthy, and we can start fresh in the non-morning. And we'll do that next week. Internet, if you have suggestions for the name for this episode, or any of you have any suggestions for the name of this episode, I'd be happy to hear it and share it. Oh, you know what? We didn't actually do the flashback to the beast barbarian of chains, Ben Coom. So that night, as you're bedding down, each of you, perhaps it was that closeness to the fragment of that you shared in the dream world, but you each have a similar dream. You don't see each other. You're in a hallway twisting, and it's reminiscent of the prison that you left, and you're winding your way through, and you see these prisoners kind of fleeing in various directions, the bars sometimes being flung open, other times trapped behind the bars. You help or hinder those who you can, and ahead you hear this roaring, this bellowing in the darkness below. As you wind your way further and further down into this deep, deep dungeon, it's eerily familiar, this landscape. It could have, essentially you're getting almost like the prison beneath Salem Rock. And in the darkest, deepest cell, you walk forward, holding a torch. You thrust it forward to illuminate this darkened cell. And these 2 thick, gray hands grasp the bar in front of you. Goliath hands. And the roar starts again. And you see slavering spittle almost hitting you in the face, even though you're a good 5-10 feet away from the bars. This howling beast of a man. Your friend, Ben Coom. And you can see the bars just shudder and begin to bend. And you wake up in a sweat. And that's where we're going to end tonight. Okay. Thanks very much for watching, everybody. We do need that name. And thanks, The Dritz. That was your redeemed plot point. Thanks. Can't forget Ben Coom. But yeah, loving the Ben Coom. And sorry that Trent can't join us more frequently. I guess if maybe we change the night, maybe we'll talk. Maybe we'll talk. That could be good. Who knows? Maybe he's dead. Maybe he's dead in a ditch. Not Trent. I mean Ben Coom. We wish Trent all the best. And we wish you all the best, and it's good to see you guys, and thanks very much for playing.
Yeah, no, it's good.
All right, any name suggestions?
In search for a boat.
Across the lazy river.
Search for a boat is really good. That shouldn't be such a good
Vidris
name, but it's excellent.
Said. Bankum is dead. Vidris said. Shit.
Yeah, well, he might not be dead. He's definitely missing in hell. He was captured while the rest of the party, he kind of bought you guys time to escape, and you teleported out. So I forget which episode that was, but you're welcome to run back into the backlog and check that out. Yeah, and the mechanic is Trent, of course, scheduling the big bad of Dungeons and Dragons. Couldn't make the night, but we retired his character in style, and he jumped in last second. Actually, it was really cool. So if you want to check the backlog, that was a lot of fun, and we miss you, Trent. And you're welcome at this table anytime that it works. And thanks for following up. So I think we'll in search of a boat or something. In search of a boat. Anyway, all right, everybody. We'll see you a week from now, and watch the Instas and the Twitter just in case. Take care of yourselves, all right? Wear a mask, keep distance, stay home if you can, play some Dungeons and Dragons or any games that you can. Find your joy and share it, because, hey man, why the hell not? Take care of yourselves and take care of each other. We'll see you soon.
Have a good night.
Night, everybody. And now I have to find... There we go. We are off. You've been listening to SideQuest Live. Thanks so much for tuning in. We try to record all of our games as much as possible, whether that's Dungeons & Dragons or Shadowrun or another tabletop role-playing game. Just a quick side note about all the licenses and copyrights involved. Our music is all Creative Commons attribution music on our live stream video feed or YouTube replay or Twitch VOD. We always attribute each individual artist, so be sure to check out those individual artist attributions. Lots of love to so many people who make their work available so that we can do what we do. So thank you. It influences our game. It makes it immeasurably better. So much appreciation for them. Let's not forget the makers of the games. Dungeons & Dragons is copywritten by Wizards of the Coast. They own it. They make it available to all of us to play, and it's wonderful. We are in no way affiliated with them, and nor do they endorse this podcast, but we are very appreciative. The other game we often play is Shadowrun, which is Catalyst Games. And again, we are not affiliated with them, and they do not endorse us, but we really appreciate their game, and we hope you appreciate our game. Thanks so much for tuning in. Don't forget to check us out on Instagram and Twitch and YouTube, and watch for those live games once we're streaming them out. And of course, we do accept suggestions for names, so please hit us up on Instagram and name our stuff. All right, thanks so much. I'm Todd, and this has been SideQuest Live. We'll see you again soon.